Hi everybody, it's me GhostCritic, and we have another review of Marvel's Ultimate Graphic Novel Collection. You've already noticed from the title up above, it is of course Avengers Disassembled. This was the 4-issue run collecting 500 to 503 of Brian Michael Bendis and David Finch's kind of darkest hour for the Avengers, and tagged on the end is the one-shot Avengers finale. This is a big blockbuster movie of a story arc, and it does play out just like a movie would, and you do have to kind of question even now, because obviously we've had so many kind of superhero movies come out now since Avengers Disassembled. It does make you think in retrospect the forethought of Bendis and probably Marvel in general, where they were heading, you know, kind of 5-10 years down the line, because each kind of issue is very movie-like in the sense, and we'll go through the story and I'll kind of explain why. It's like issue 1 and the action starts straight away. You're thrown head first into the Avengers mansion exploding. You've got Tony Stark kind of completely losing it in front of like the UN Senate group. You have the Vision after the Avengers mansion has already kind of like exploded and had this big explosion. You've got the Vision in one of their Quinjets comes smashing down. From him, then you've got the introduction of not one, not two, not three, but 5 versions of Ultron. Jennifer the She-Hulk, she completely loses it and kind of goes like feral Hulk. She's always been like kind of in control of her Hulk self, unlike Bruce Banner. So this is completely out of character. So you have a big epic start to this storyline. There is just madness going on everywhere, and then you get that kind of last page of this issue where you have a mysterious voice, you just see their mouth, and the last line is, "It isn't over." So you've already kind of got, we have a big bad here, and obviously we know who it is now, but at the time you were like, who could this be? And then you get the second issue where the action slows right down and you get the kind of repercussions from the last issue. And the second issue is classic Bendis talking heads. There is a lot of dialogue, a lot of kind of dissension in the ranks. Everyone's blaming everyone else. They all think Tony Stark has gone back to his drinking ways. And they're all trying to blame someone. And in the background of this, of course, there's the kind of government wanting to kind of step back away from this now, as governments tend to always do. They kind of champion their heroes, but as soon as something goes wrong and it could have a negative effect on the government stance, they want to disassociate themselves with it. So you have Sergeant Fury, Nick Fury, coming in as a SHIELD agent to kind of lock down Avengers Mansion, make it a big crime scene kind of thing. And you have this awesome kind of double-page splash, if I remember rightly, of, you know, all the people that have ever been in the Avengers kind of stood in front of the gates going, no, you ain't coming in here. We're coming together. We have always been a team. However, you know, disparate we've been, when the shit hits the fan, we're there for each other and we stick together. And then you get the third one. You've had that kind of lull with the whole repercussions and the fallout of the first issue. And then they hit you again with some more action. So you have the Kree attacking. They're, you know, completely out of nowhere. Everyone is completely confused. And it takes Doctor Strange, who suddenly turns up. He's late for the party. But it's like, explains what's going on. It's like, I can't believe you've not really worked this out yet. There are magics involved. And that kind of ends issue 3. Not a lot really happens in issue 3. It is a whole big kind of Kree battle. And just everyone trying to make sense of it all. But like I say, Doctor Strange comes piling in to kind of tease not only the Avengers but us as the reader as to where our storyline is going to. And in the 4th issue, our kind of wrap up, it's revealed. We have a kind of flashback to the Scarlet Witch and I can't remember which of the female character it was now. I'm sorry. But there's 2 of them. They're by the pool and accidentally it slipped that Scarlet Witch had 2 children. And this is kind of where, if you're not familiar with Avengers history, this comes as a kind of, what's she talking about? Unfortunately, in here, on the first page, you get a kind of story so far. And it fills you in about the fact that, yes, she did have 2 children at one point. But for one reason or another, she doesn't have them anymore. And they've put kind of a mental block on her, so to make her forget. But obviously this little slip up by the side of the pool, Scarlet Witch remembers. And yes, it is the Scarlet Witch, Wanda, who is causing all this. This is her revenge for having her kind of mind played around with her. This information of her having had 2 children has been kind of ripped out of her mind and taken away. And then we kind of get the history behind this of Scarlet Witch and her kind of hex powers that she's never truly been able to control, and all this using magic. It's gonna be well, it's not going to end well. Fortunately, you know, it all wraps up very nicely and they beat the Scarlet Witch, and Magneto whisks her away to a secret location, maybe dead, maybe not, we don't know at this point. Obviously we know since then. And then at the very end we have the Avengers finale one-shot, which is pretty, because you get this kind of, and it is really all kind of creators who have worked on the Avengers doing like a double splash page, and it's kind of a history of the Avengers, and it's all written and drawn by different artists and writers, and it is just kind of like a, not a homage, a tribute to the Avengers, because obviously the team couldn't come back from this, and it was one of the things that Bendis wanted to do. I really want to sneeze, I'm sorry, I'm alright. I don't know. So yeah, a great story. I mean, the artwork, David Finch's artwork in here is great. I always like David Finch. He's worked on a lot of titles that I've loved in the past. It's all very, very detailed, very glossy, very kind of modern, high-tech movie kind of look to it. With the kind of the finale, you're getting all sorts of artists. I mean, just looking around, I can see Alex Maleev there doing some art. Let's get some of those double pages going. So you kind of, hopefully you can see this without too much of the glare. So you know, so that's kind of like almost an original team up there. Moving on a little bit. Yeah, that's nice. That's, why can I never remember? Is it Mac? Someone like that, but yeah, kind of the Vision and Wanda's romance. see if I can see any more people. So yeah, it all kind of wraps up very nice, and it kind of gives a blank slate for what we knew was about to start, and the kind of relaunching of the Avengers. And it's very interesting because in the back there isn't much in the way of extras in this. You have the Avengers finale cover, you have a variant cover for issue 500 there, and then we have a kind of 2-page kind of about Bendis and his work on Disassembled. And it is interesting because when this came out, there was a big furore about this. The fans were not happy what Bendis had done. And he does admit in here, because there's kind of like excerpts of interviews he's done, and he thought he was doing a really good thing, and he thought that this is what the fans actually wanted. I mean, this was a series that kind of going back to the 1960s and hadn't really kind of had anything of this kind of magnitude happen to him, and for him, he thought it had become quite stagnant and it needed a good shake-up. He says, I'll just read a brief kind of section out of this. Addressing the negative reaction in 2009, Bendis explained, "I felt, and I'm not sure I was right at the time, I felt that everyone reading the Avengers or wanting to read the Avengers felt the same as me. Let's beep it up." Make that word up for yourself. Let's really make it Avengers' worst day. Let's make it a disaster movie. Let's create a situation so bad that something new had to be birthed out of it. So for all the kind of negative criticism that came from the book, from this last arc, I mean, a lot of new things came out of it. I mean, Avengers, you could say, is their flagship kind of team book, just as DC have their Marvel, but they only had the one title, and out of this you got the Mighty Avengers, you got New Avengers, from there it's got Secret Avengers, the Initiative. So much stuff came out of this, and now of course the Avengers is this huge franchise which I don't know if it would have happened without this. Maybe you guys disagree, but something big had to happen, and like Bendis wanted, it had to be the worst day that Avengers could face. And to add to it, it came from someone who they felt was the closest to them. I say it every time, I've never been a huge Avengers kind of reader. I came on right after this. I didn't read any of the Avengers Disassembled storyline. I was never reading Avengers, and then I jumped on to all the new #1s, and I continued getting like the Mighty Avengers, the New Avengers, and the Initiative, and I had a great time, and they were enjoyable. Since before then, Avengers never really interested me. But this was a great read. It's action-packed. It's stacked with great artwork. Definitely worth looking out for, and you can definitely pick it up in trade. Of that, I've no doubt. So there we go. Another one in the bag. Hope you enjoyed that. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Put a comment down below. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.